What's up, my people, and welcome to the channel. My name is Diamond, and this video is going to be slightly different. This is a Q&A video where I went and pulled questions directly from the comment section on a variety of my videos, because we know if one person asks a question, we probably have 100 people with the exact same question who will never see those comments. So in this video, I'll be weighing in with my opinion on a variety of topics. We're going to discuss everything from car loans to interest rates to credit cards to student loans, investing, and more. So you definitely want to stick around to the end. And this is not just a one-sided conversation. I want to hear your opinion on this as well. So jump down in the comments section and weigh in. And if you want to jump to a specific question, I'll leave timestamps down in the description. For now, let's jump into the first question. This first set of questions come from my video on the best ways to get rid of negative equity. And the first question says, I got offered $1,800 for my truck and I owe $22,800. Should I trade it in for a $10,000 car? Would that help out in any way? So you owe $22,000, and I'm gonna assume that that was a typo and they offered you $18,000. If that's the case, you have to acknowledge that you are $4,000 upside down right now. So you want to trade in for a $10,000 car. If you just roll that $4,000 into the new loan, now you're paying $14,000 for a car that's worth $10,000, and you're still $4,000 upside down. So all you're doing is trading a $22,000 car in for a $10,000 car. Meanwhile, the amount you're upside down is the exact same. And when you look at the payment difference between $14,000 and $22,000, you're talking about saving a few dollars, not a few $100s. So in this case, I don't think it helps. And the next question states, I have a 2018 Nissan Altima, and I want to trade it for a Mercedes CLS 550. I owe $16K on the Altima, but they're offering me $13K. If I put $3K down on the CLS, which is worth about $35,000, would it be worth it? I plan on keeping the car for good as well. So you want to go from an Altima to a Mercedes, and you say you're $3,000 upside down, but you have the $3,000 to put down, so you're not going to roll that into the next deal. So the real question becomes, do you want to pay for a $16,000 car, or do you want to pay for a $35,000 car? And you ask, is it worth it? Well, the truth is they both are going to go down in value. So to answer if it's worth it, I would have to tell you to step back, look at your entire financial plan, and see how this purchase of this $35,000 car is going to fit in with your overall goals. Because we know if you go from driving an Altima to a Mercedes, you're going to feel great about it day one, but how does it fit in and how will you feel about it 2 or 3 years down the road? So we got to think long term to answer, is it worth it? And only you can do that. And the last statement in this question deserves a caution. You said, I plan on keeping this car for good. And let me tell you something, from experience, that's just a way for us to justify buying something. Because logically, we know that you can't keep the car forever. And even though you may plan to, we have no idea what's going to come our way. So don't use that as a reason to make this purchase. And the next question comes from my video on how to pay off debt fast with a low income. And Daniel states, when you say debt free, is that no car and house payment? To me, there's only one type of debt free, and that's no payments at all. No car payments, no house payments, no credit card payments, no payments, no payments, no payments. That's debt free. And the next several questions is going to come from my video on paying off a car loan early, principal payments versus extra payments explained. The first question states, so to clarify, if my payment is $550 a month at 5%, do I write a check for $650 or a separate check for $100 that is stated for interest only? When it comes to principal payments, you always want to verify the policies and procedures with your lending institution. For me, I always like to keep it separate. I like to make it a separate payment, have it marked as principal only. That way it's very easy for me to track. There's no confusion, and if it's applied incorrectly, it's something I can catch quickly and have corrected on the spot. But the way simple interest loans work is if you make a payment over the amount due, the way it should work is that any payment you send in, as long as it's one payment, so your payment is due on one day and you send in, like you said, $650. On that day, they should deduct how much interest is due at that moment on the loan out of that money, and everything over that should be applied to the principal. But I've seen it done a lot of different ways. So always verify, and that's why my favorite is to make it separate and mark it as principal. And the next question is about credit scores. And it states, my question is, How much does it help your credit score when you pay the balance down? So car loans and credit scores have a funny relationship. When you first take out a loan, you most likely will see your credit score dip a bit because of the new loan. Then as you make your payments, you pay down the loan, you'll see your credit score start to go up. Now your question is, you want to know how will it affect your credit score when you're paying your balance down? Well, your credit score will be going up as you're paying the balance down because the average age of accounts is getting longer. You're having more and more on-time payments. All of this is going towards improving your credit score. But once you get to the end and you pay the car off and the loan closes out, you're going to see your credit score dip again, most likely. So that may make you think, what gives? I want to pay my car off, but I don't want to negatively impact my credit score. Here's what I would say. Get your car paid off and don't worry about your credit score, because there's a lot of other ways you can help your credit score without having to pay interest. So get this debt out your life, pay it off, and let your credit score build and do its thing. And the next question is from Stephanie. So is it normal to be charged interest on a principal payment? I did my first principal payment of $100 and $31.64 was taken from my principal payment. So I only put $68.36 to the principal. No, it is not normal. And when you see that interest was taken out of your principal payment, that means they did not apply the payment correctly. They applied it as a regular payment, which means interest was due. A principal payment is going to be applied to your principal balance. So if you pay $100 and it's applied correctly, your balance will reduce by $100, which is very helpful because interest accrues daily. And now, since you paid it down, it's accruing off of a lower balance, which means you pay less interest the next time interest is due. So what I would do is jump on the phone with somebody and have them correct this payment immediately. And this is why you always want to verify the policies and also check and ensure that the payments you make are applied to your account correctly, because they can mess up and it's on you to make sure it's right. And this next question comes from my video I did thanking my first 1,000 subscribers. And it's crazy to think that we're over 7,000 subscribers today. If you haven't done so, now is a good time to click that subscribe button. But this is the question. Is there an email to get in contact with you to ask you financial questions? By the way, congrats, and I love your videos. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And absolutely, my contact information is in the description of all my videos. And you can always follow me on Instagram at Diamond D Edwards, and I'll do my best to follow up with you. So the next two questions come from my video on how to trade in a car that's not paid off. And this first question states, I need advice. I rolled a car loan into a new one like a dummy. Don't worry, we've all done something stupid with money. You're not alone. I owe $21,000. Still, the car's worth $11,000 at 17%. Should I get a new loan now that my credit score is at 715? It was 615 when I got the car. Basically, pay $21K at 17%, or a new loan, probably $27K at a lower interest rate. Please, any advice would help. So you owe $21,000 on a car that's worth $11,000 at 17% interest. The first thing I want you to do is watch my video on auto loan interest rates explained, so you can understand exactly what that 17% is and what kind of impact it has on your ability to pay the car off. Now, you're thinking about getting rid of this car and going for a car that's $27,000 because your credit score went up 100 points. What I would suggest is throw the credit score out the window. Don't literally throw it out the window, but it's really not a part of this discussion because this is about the car that you have in the loan. So you could trade this car in for a more expensive car, but what's going to happen with that $10,000 of negative equity that you have? Because it don't disappear just because you buy a new car, no matter what the dealers tell you. So with you being $10,000 in the hole, the idea of buying a $27,000 car and then adding that $10,000 on top of that, now you're at $37,000, or maybe you was thinking a $17,000 car and adding a 10, so you're at 27. Either way, today you are in the hole $10,000. If you get another car and you don't pay that $10,000, you're still $10,000 in the hole. And here's something to think about when it comes to this $11,000 car. An $11,000 car is nearing the bottom of its depreciation curve, which means this car is not losing money nearly as fast as a new car. But if you upgrade to a more expensive, newer car, you're basically resetting the depreciation. So now instead of being at the bottom of the curve where the car is basically not going to lose much more value, you're going back up to the top of the mountain so you can just go down the hill faster again. And that negative equity is going to be chasing you, running down the hill behind you. So absolutely, I would not trade this car in for a more expensive car. What I would do is look at refinancing the car. But no, that's not going to work because you're upside down so far that you're not going to find a bank that's going to approve you for $21,000 when the car is only worth $11,000, because that's just too much risk on their part. So to be honest, it's time to buckle down, check out some of my videos, and really get serious on paying down this negative equity so you can get from behind this. Because you can roll it, flip it, and twist it 18 different ways on Sunday, and it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. So at some point, and that point I recommend is right now, go ahead and come up with a game plan to come up with this $10,000 that you're in the hole. And once you get the negative equity paid off, then you can look at refinancing, you can look at selling the car and getting rid of it. You can look at other options. But right now, you're really limited because of the negative equity, unfortunately. And the next question states, I want to trade in my car. I owe $20K. And the Kelley Blue Book value is 23 to 26. Is that good? Now this is a good thing. You owe $20,000, but you're being offered between $23,000 and $26,000. That means you have positive equity. And this is a good place to be. So if you want to get the best deal for your car, the only way you can do that, the same way you would get the best deal when you're buying a car, it's the same way you're going to get the best deal for your trade. And that is, he with the most information win. So research, research, research. See what your car is selling for. Look at it on various sites. KBB is one. NADA is another. You can jump on autotrader.com and request the instant quote. KBB also has an instant quote. Carvana does instant quotes. So you can gather up some of this information, put it together, and that'll give you some real world data to actually go and negotiate the best price for your trade-in. Because if they offer you less than what you already been offered, obviously you walk away from that deal. And keep this in mind. You don't have to trade in your car to the same place that you're buying your new car from. Because when you trade in a car, they can just write you a check and you can walk away from the dealership. So don't be suckered into trading your car in at a lower price just because it's convenient. Get the best price for your car possible. And this next question comes from a video I did about student loans. Everything that I wish I knew about student loan debt that I know all too well now. And this question states, do you think that student loan forgiveness will be issued? I do believe someday in the future, some part of student loans will be forgiven. Will everybody's student loan be forgiven? I don't think so. Will all of the outstanding debt be just erased? I don't think so. It's $1.5 trillion worth of student loan debt out there, and I don't think that everybody's is going to be forgiven. But some people's will, and some percentage will. But we just don't know who's going to qualify, when this is going to happen. So I wouldn't hold my breath on it. I paid my student loans off several years ago, and I've never looked back. And even today, if they offered some type of forgiveness, I wouldn't care. And I wouldn't try to go and get my money back and all that. It's done. It's over. I paid for it. I'll never do it again. It's behind me. And the progress that I've made from the point of paying off my debt to now is life-changing. And I wouldn't go back in for nothing. So if you have student loan debt, I would say get it paid off. Don't wait around for them to come up with some plan. Because if you notice, it's always a topic around a certain time, and then it kind of fade to the background, just like they've been trying to raise minimum wage for the last 20 years. The next question is about credit scores. It's from the video, The 5 Things I Wish I Knew Before Building My 800 Credit Score. And the question states, I recently got a 25% car loan because A, I didn't read the fine print, B, my old car died on me. I was on track to increase my wealth, but now I'm back at the starting blocks again. I have just made my first payment. The next payment is in 2 months. My original loan was for $5,000. My payment is $250. I have $4,000 in savings. Should I just increase my payment to $500 to $750 a month and refinance the loan, as I got a credit card now that I use for gas and small purchases? I'm sure that will bump my score up and I can refinance with a credit union instead of my shady bank that bamboozled me. Two things that can screw anybody: not being informed and feeling desperate, feeling like you have no choice. That's the scenario that you described. And you signed up for a 25% interest auto loan. Now, this is a $5,000 car and you say you have $4,000 in savings, but you don't want to empty your savings. 25% interest is going to cost you double on this car. Don't believe me? Check out my video on car interest rates explained. And in that video, I walk through 3 different scenarios. Somebody who gets a good interest rate, a decent interest rate, and a rip-off interest rate. And 25% is a rip-off rate. And that's something that has to be addressed immediately, because you're going to pay more in interest than you're going to pay for the car. So not wanting to empty out your savings is not really even, it shouldn't even enter the discussion. Pay this thing off as fast as you possibly can. And for our last set of questions, they're going to come from my video, the 5 tips for paying off your car loan early. How I paid off a $40,000 car in 34 months. And the first question is, hey, I was wondering, if you refinance a car, are you able to sell it or trade it in if you still owe on it? Or do you have to pay the whole thing off since you refinanced it? If you owe money on a car, you can trade it, sell it, you can do whatever you want with it. The only caveat is that whoever you owe the money to, whoever holds the title, the lien holder, they just want their money. So if you trade it, somebody need to pay your bank the money that you owe. If you sell it, somebody need to pay the bank their money, because otherwise they won't release themselves from the title, and the new owner, they won't be able to register it in their name. So if you're going to trade it, the dealer normally handles all the background paperwork. If you sell it to somebody, then it's going to be on you, where they're going to pay you, and then you're going to have to pay the bank, and then the bank is going to release the title, and they'll send it to you, and you got to send it to the buyer. Sounds like a lot, but it's really not that complicated. The basic thing is, absolutely, you can sell a car that you owe money on. You just have to pay the car off, period. The next 2 is more testimonial, but I think it's important to share because I feel like it can help someone else that's out there. And this one states, from Justin, it says, I regret so much trading in my Acura. I only had $4K left to pay off, and I fixed basically the whole car up. I traded it in for a GLI 2017. Now I owe almost $20K on my car. I feel so dumb. I regret it every day, man. Now I gotta work my ass off even more to try to pay off my car. But I will learn from my mistakes. Really throws me off every day. I gotta find that principal button, because I think I made a one-time payment and it didn't go down at all. Basically felt robbed. Over it, man. I just want to pay this car off and get rid of it and drive my Civic until I pay whatever car off I want. Justin, I want to thank you for sharing your story and being open and honest about your situation, because far too often we let these cars get in the way of the big picture. And you've seen your mistake, you regret it, you're working towards fixing it, and that's really all we can do, right? This channel is about meeting people where they're at, helping them, giving them accurate and honest information to help them get to where they want to be. So there's no judgment here. I've done my fair share of stupid. I've lived my life for years without a financial plan, without thinking about the big picture. I've done it all wrong, and I've reversed, and now I'm doing it right. Today we had a lot of questions about cars and car loans. And it makes sense when you start looking at the average income in America is $59,000, and the average cost for a new car is $39,000. They're just expensive. And like I was doing for a long time, I was focused on the wrong thing. And so I had to get it right. I had to start focusing on my net worth, because that is what's important. Buying a car should be simple. You want a car, you go buy it. How you gonna pay for it? Don't really matter. I'm gonna write a check. I'm gonna do whatever. I got the money. It's not a big deal. It shouldn't be some long, drawn out process that affects what we eat this week and what else we can do, whether or not we go on vacation. Cars shouldn't have that much impact on our lives. It's just a commodity. It's a thing we use to get us where we need to go. But I get it, and I've been there. If you are on a journey to get out of debt, build wealth, and invest, this is the place for you. This is the family that you want to be a part of. Hit the subscribe button and come back, check out my videos, because we're going to learn and grow together. Until next time, I'm Diamond. Peace.